Hello, welcome to Bits and Biology. My name's Liz, and today I'm going to do a solo playthrough of Mariposas. This is a 2 to 5 player game designed by Elizabeth Hargrave with artwork by Indie Maverick and published by AEG. It does not come with solo rules in the box. I got these from a forum on Board Game Geek, and I will put a link to those down in the description. Let's go down to the table and see how to play. Here we are, pretty much set up for a solo game of Mariposas. What you see here for the game board is a map of mostly of the eastern United States, going a bit into the Midwest. And down here we have Michoacan, Mexico. I am probably saying that wrong. And you are following the monarch migration from Michoacan up through the eastern United States and up into Canada. And that will happen starting with your Generation 1 butterflies, and then you'll have Generation 2, Generation 3, and then finally your Generation 4 butterflies will come back down to Mexico. And so that really is what happens with the monarch migration. It happens over the course of, on average, 4 generations of butterflies. And then that Generation 4, what's called the super generation, will actually overwinter in the mountains in this region of Mexico. I think it's about 14 different sites that they overwinter at. And it can be up to 5,000 butterflies per square meter. And per colony, you can have up to 300 million butterflies. It's pretty spectacular. I've not been there myself. I would love to go someday. But the pictures are truly amazing. In fact, I've written a blog about it, and I'll put a link to that down in the description. Anyway, back to the game. So we're going to move our butterflies up and then back down again. Now, we do not have to make it all the way up to the top. It depends entirely on generations of butterflies, and just like butterflies sort of flit around, there aren't really rules for movement. There are rules for collecting nectar, but there's not really rules for movement. As we are navigating through here, we're going to stop at these different flowers and collect nectar from these 5 different flower types. And the flower types that we have are purple cone flower. So we have these purple cone flowers. Butterfly weed, this is a type of milkweed, butterfly milkweed. We have common yarrow, these white flowers here. And New England asters, I'll probably call them purple asters the whole time. And then we have what's commonly known as prairie tick seed or coreopsis. I'm used to calling them coreopsis, so that's probably what you'll hear me call them throughout the game. So those are the nectar that we are collecting. The nectar is going to allow us to hatch new butterflies. And so we start with a Generation 1 butterfly. Generation 1 butterflies can, if they are next to milkweed, which are symbolized by this circle with the monarch caterpillar in it, if they are next to milkweed, a Generation 1 butterfly can pay 2 nectar, or 2 flowers, or that are the same, or any 3, to hatch a Generation 2 butterfly. Likewise, a Generation 2 butterfly can pay 3 of the same kind of flower, or any 4 to hatch a Generation 3 butterfly. And a Generation 3 butterfly can pay it takes 4 of the same kind of flower, or any 5 flowers to hatch a Generation 4 butterfly. And actually, we can have another, it's not really another generation in terms of the nomenclature used in the game, but that Generation 4 butterfly can actually hatch 2 more Generation 4 butterflies. So we'll just call those the super generation, right? So the super generation butterflies actually live for about 8 to 9 months, whereas these Generation 1, 2, and 3 butterflies are only going to live around 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. They don't live very long in real life. And we're going to do this over the course of 3 seasons. Spring is when the butterflies are going to leave Mexico, so they do this in March and head up into Texas and across the southeastern United States. And then we go into summer, where the butterflies are heading a little more north. And they can stay put where they end up there and have another generation, or they can go a little further north and have a third generation. Those third generation butterflies are then going to give rise to the fourth generation butterflies, which in the fall will make their way back down to Mexico. And you get points in several different ways. One is by collecting sets of these monarch butterfly life cycle cards. And if you collect a whole set, you get the bonus shown on these white tiles at the far end. So a whole set of green life cycle cards will get us 1 point at the end of the game. And also, from when we have that set, 1 point per butterfly hatched. If we collect an entire set of red life cycle cards, we get 1 extra butterfly when we tally up our points in Michoacan, and I will go over that in just a moment. If we collect an entire set of blue life cycle cards, we will get 1 point per complete set of flowers at the end of the game. And so that's one way to get points. Each of these life cycle cards is worth 1 point at the end of the game. And then in each of the seasons, we get points if we fulfill certain conditions. So for instance, in spring, we have, if we have 2 butterflies above Lawrence, Kansas here, and on 2 different red hexes, then we would get 6 points. And I say or because it's unlikely we would do both of these things, but it could happen. But if we are to the right or to the east of Houston, and on any of these orange spots, 2 of them, 2 different butterflies, we would get 6 points. Now, these cards were chosen randomly from a deck, so we have several of these orange ones for the fall, several of the yellow ones that were shuffled, and one chosen randomly for summer, and then a few of these green ones, one of which was chosen randomly for the spring. Likewise, these tiles over here are chosen randomly. I think there's a total of 6 tiles. They're shuffled up and chosen randomly. How we get life cycle cards are by turning over these way station tokens. So in each of these cities, because monarch butterflies are losing milkweed habitat over much of the United States, there are what are called way stations that exist in many of these urban areas, where there'll be patches of milkweed that the monarch butterflies rely on to give them the energy to maintain their life cycle and then the migration coming back going south. And so in each of these, I'm not going to turn them over because they've been shuffled up and placed, but on each of these I could either get one of these life cycle cards or I can get one of these bonus movement cards. And so there's 3 different kinds I could get. One I can use in place of another movement card, and it would allow me to move a butterfly 2 spaces and another butterfly or the same butterfly 3 spaces. This card here would allow me to add 2 movement to my current action. We'll go over that in a minute. And this bonus card here would give me an additional 1 movement action that I could use with the same or a different butterfly. So to start the game, I'm going to choose 2 of these movement cards. I'm just going to keep these face up over here, but what I have is each arrow represents a movement, so I can move 1 butterfly 5 spaces. This one says I can move 3 different butterflies 1 space, or it could be 1 butterfly 1 space and then another space and then another space. And the significance of that is that every time I end on a space with a flower, I collect that kind of flower. And as I pointed out before, that is how we will hatch new butterflies. At the end of the game, we will get points for however many Generation 4 butterflies we get back to Mexico. So for 1 butterfly, it's 3 points. For 2, it's 7 points, and so on. The maximum you could get is 8. The maximum I have personally gotten is 4. So, and that was 2 of these Generation double butterflies, Generation 4 double butterflies. Okay, so far everything I've told you applies to the multiplayer game and the solo game. For the solo game rules, we have an opponent called Smoke. So I am this orange marker here. This is the score track winding its way down the board. I forgot to talk about this dice. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the way that Smoke gets points is every time I hatch a butterfly, The nearest way station token, if it is not flipped over, will get flipped over. If it shows a life cycle card, Smoke will get that life cycle card to score points at the end of the game. 1 point per life cycle card, the same as I get. Likewise, Smoke does not, you're not actually controlling an AI. Thankfully, this is super easy to run. But at the end of each season, Smoke will get all of the points that are shown on these season goal cards. And so at the end of spring, Smoke will get 12 points. We don't know yet what's under the summer or the fall goals. As soon as I hatch this Generation 2 butterfly here, I can turn over the summer goals. Now I can't get points for those until it is actually the end of summer. Likewise, as soon as I hatch these 2 Generation 3 butterflies, I can turn over that fall card. And the earlier I can do that, the earlier I can sort of plan ahead for meeting those goals. And then the one thing I didn't talk about yet was this die. So if I manage to flip over one of these way station tiles, I can roll the die and I will get the flower shown. And so in this case, a purple coneflower. Each of the flowers is represented, and then there is one side that represents a wildflower where I can take my pick. Okay, I think I have covered everything, so we will just get started. I choose one of these 2 movement cards to move my butterfly, and I'm going to choose this one that lets me move 3 different times. And so I just have my 1 butterfly to start out with. So I'm going to move, let's see, there's no way for me to get the same kind of flowers, so I'll just go here and get a purple coneflower, and then move 1 more and get a yarrow, and 1 more and get a butterfly weed. Okay, I'm going to keep these down here. Let's see if they'll show up on camera. I think they do. I'm a little cramped for space here, but not terrible. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to play Darwin's Journey on here, but it's going to happen eventually. Okay, one of my favorite games. But now we're doing Mariposas. Okay, so that was that. I draw another movement card to replace it. Now, if you get 2 of the same movement card like I did, I can discard one of these and choose another one. So now I have 2 different. These are not the only 2, by the way, but those are the only 2 I've seen so far. Okay, so I can, what I'm trying to do here is probably I can either try to get, man, these are hard goals. I can either try to get 2 butterflies north of Lawrence on red spots, or I can try and get 2 butterflies east of Houston on orange spots. That seems like it's closer, but I don't actually know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's closer to get this way, east of Houston. I think I'll try and go for that. So maybe I will actually use this one to move 1 butterfly 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets me, that's next to a coreopsis. I need either a milkweed, a purple coneflower, or I should not call this milkweed, I should call it butterfly weed, to not be confused with these milkweeds with the caterpillars on them. So butterfly weed, a purple coneflower, or a yarrow. Well, maybe I can get here next time. So we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and take a coreopsis. Okay, draw another movement card. I get 4 movements in the spring, so I've used up 2 of those. I'm now on my 3rd movement, but now I do have 2 of the same, but you know what? I'm kind of okay with that right now because I'm kind of in the area I need to be and I want to get flowers. So I'm going to use one of these, and it allows me 3 separate movements. I'm on my 3rd turn here. So I'm going to move here because that keeps me right by this milkweed here. I'm going to get a butterfly weed, but then I'm going to turn around and use these 2 butterfly weeds, pay those to hatch a Generation 2 butterfly that just goes right here on top of my Generation 1. And now I can flip over this summer goal card so I can see what's coming. And what this tells me is for the end of summer, remember I'm still in spring, but for the end of summer, I want to have 3 total butterflies, and I don't want to have any that are west of Houston. So actually that's really good that I didn't go above Lawrence. Or, this is unlikely to happen, but you know, it could happen. It's worth 7 points. 1 butterfly on each of the 5 colors. Are there 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, each of the, or no, not each of the 5 colors. Each of the 4 colors except not blue. And then one on an urban area. And they all have to be north of Atlanta. That would give me 7 points. Or I can get 1 point for each butterfly above Chicago. Now if I can fulfill multiple of these, I can get multiple points. It seems likely that I can have 3 butterflies and have none of them be west of Houston. And maybe I can get 1 or 2 butterflies up above Chicago. So thinking ahead to summer, but right now I'm focused on this. And so I've done 1 movement out of my 3 possible. So I'm going to put this generation 2 butterfly on that purple cone, or that's not purple coneflower, that's a purple aster. So get one of those. And I have 1 more movement. So I think, let's see, I'm going to be trying to get at least something up above Chicago. So maybe I will move this one up to that butterfly weed and get that. Okay, I've got 1 of each type of flower. Okay, so that was 3 turns I've had so far. Draw another movement card. Now this one lets me move 1 butterfly 1 and another butterfly, or the same butterfly 3 spaces. And you know what? I think I'm going to do that. So let's see. I am going to maybe move this generation 1 butterfly, 1, 2, I want to stay on the orange, 3, no, we'll do 3 here and get a butterfly weed, and use, now that I could theoretically use those 2 butterfly weed to get another generation 2 butterfly, but you know what, I'm not going to, because I get 1 for free if I haven't hatched all of them going into summer. I think that's right. Let's see. If I have any generation 2 butterflies that are not on the map board, you may hatch 1 for free, no flower token cost, and does not need to be next to a milkweed symbol. Put it on top of your generation 1 butterfly. So yes, I think I'm going to not spend my flowers, and I'll just get that for free. I still have this other turn, so I get to move 1. So I will move over here to the purple coneflower. I'm trying to get over to this double aster there. So the purple coneflower. So now I have 2 purple coneflowers and 2 butterfly weeds. And that is the end of my 4th turn. So I'm going to discard my 4 movement cards into a discard up here. And then I did manage to get this bonus where I have 2 butterflies on orange hexes, and they're both east of Houston, and that gets me 6 points. And Smoke, my opponent, my AI opponent, gets 12 points for doing nothing. Okay, I'm just going to flip this over because those points are gone. We can't get those anymore. Oh, and when I bred my butterfly over here, I did it on one of these 2 spaces, I should have turned, let's see, where was it? It was right here. So New Orleans is 2 spaces away, Atlanta is 2 spaces away, so I turn over the closest one, and I get to decide if they're equally distant, so I'm going to choose Atlanta, and that is a green egg. Oh, yeah, so I only have 2 of these cards here because we can each only get 1. So I'm just going to put Smoke's cards, let's put Smoke's cards up here. And then here's my die. Okay, so I don't get to roll the die for that. That got turned over because I hatched a generation 2 butterfly down here. Okay, so now we're going into summer. I am going to try to have at least 3 butterflies, none of them being west of Houston. And I don't know, maybe it's possible to do this north of Atlanta. Be interesting to try. I don't know if I want to focus on that though. Might get 1 or 2 above Chicago. Okay, so I still have a generation 2 butterfly that's off the board, so that gets hatched automatically. And now I draw up to replace the card I used. So let's see, I can move 2, I have 2 times 2 movements. Oh, I'm not going to make it on that purple aster. I mean, I could. You don't have to take all of your movements, or you can just pretend like you're flitting around like a butterfly. Which maybe I'll do. Yeah, if I come here, I'm just going to move. Well, here, why don't I use this movement card here where I get to move 3 times 1. I'm going to move one here and get 2 of those purple asters. That's a double flower space. So now I have 3 purple asters. That can get me a generation 3 butterfly, and now I have 2 other single movements. I can come here to where the coreopsis is and get a coreopsis, and it's next to a milkweed. But I would need 3 in order to hatch a generation 3 butterfly, so I'm out of luck there. So maybe I'll move this generation 2 butterfly up to this purple coneflower and get a purple coneflower, and now I have 3 purple coneflowers. And oh, I wouldn't have had to pay 3 coreopsis. Silly me. You can pay 3 of anything that's equal. It must be the video camera rattling my brain. Okay, but anyway, I'm just going to stick with this. I have 3 purple coneflowers that I'm going to pay over here to hatch a generation 3 butterfly off of this fall card. And I think I took all 3 movements. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Okay, replace my card. So I have 5 turns in the summer. I can move 1, 4. Oh, and what this tells me is I can move a butterfly 4 spaces and not only collect whatever is on the space I land on, but also collect from one adjacent to it. And I think I am going to do that and get a butterfly up above Chicago. So let's see. I think I'll move generation 2. Let's see, I can move 4 spaces. I think I want to maybe check out what's up here in Toronto. Let's do that. So that's 4 spaces. Oh, it's a green butterfly life cycle card, so I get to collect that. I think you can see that. And because I flipped that over, I get to roll the die. I get a coreopsis. Okay, nice. That was my 4 movement. Oh, and I get to collect, remember, an adjacent flower. So I will collect, do I have an aster adjacent? I do have an aster adjacent, so we'll do that. So now I have 4 of those. I can get a generation 4 butterfly. All right, so I took all of that movement. So it's 2 of my turns, replace my movement card. So this lets me move a butterfly 5, but I think I'm going to do this where I get to move 2 different butterflies or the same butterfly 2, a movement of 2. So let's see. Let's do, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen with the Atlanta thing because I only have 2 more turns. Oh, it could happen. I've got 1 on Toronto. Maybe. Oh, I was supposed to take this generation 1 off the board, by the way. That should have happened at the end of spring, right? Remove all generation 1, hatch 1 generation 2 if you have it. So I'll move this generation 3, 1, 2 spaces. No, 1, 2. I'll do that. Get a coreopsis. It's not near a milkweed, so it can't hatch another butterfly. And I will move. Oh, this is not going to happen, is it? Maybe it will. And I'll move this one too and get a yarrow. I've got a plan. We'll see if I remember what it is when I get there. Okay, replace this. So this is a 4 movement card, but I think that's pretty good, and it lets me collect a flower adjacent. So that's a 4 movement card. I think I will move this generation 2 butterfly. 1, 2, 3. Wait. Where was it? It was on the yarrow. Oh, but then it's not. Oh, I don't want any that are. These are mutually exclusive. This Atlanta one and the East of Houston one. Okay, so I'm not going to focus on that Atlanta one. But I do my 4 movements, so I'm just going to get north of Chicago. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a generation 2 butterfly, so that gets me a yarrow landing there, and it gets to collect something that is on a space adjacent, so could be an aster or a butterfly weed or a purple coneflower, aster, butterfly. I guess do butterfly weed. And I am next to a milkweed. So actually, let's use these 3 butterfly weed this is a generation 2 butterfly, so I'm going to hatch a generation 3 butterfly off of this fall goal card and turn that over. So we'll look at that in a moment. Pay my flowers, and I think I did all the things. Okay, so this is going to be our fall goals. I get 1 point for every butterfly that's west of Houston, and I get 4 points if I have a complete set of flowers. That's pretty good. So maybe we'll just start setting aside for that right now. Maybe we'll just see how far we can get, but that's for fall. For summer, I have 1 more turn. I've done 4. I get 5. And so let's see, replace my movement card. These are the same, so I am going to discard that and draw another one. So these 2 are different. Oh, and when I hatched a butterfly here, the closest city was Toronto, is already turned over, but I think I hatched a butterfly back here near Richmond, so we have to turn that over for smoke, and they get a chrysalis, a blue chrysalis card. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll do these 3 singles, 3 singles. So I'll move 1, 2 to get a yarrow. Is that what I want? He was back here on the coreopsis. I think not purple coneflower, butterfly weed? No, I need aster or coreopsis. Well, I do have 4 of those anyway, so let's see. Let's do 1. I get to pick up that purple coneflower. I forgot about that. 2, I get to pick up that yarrow. And 3, I get to pick up that butterfly weed. And what I'm going to do, since I am next to a milkweed, and so I'm next to a milkweed, this is a generation 3 butterfly, I'm going to use 4 asters, these 4 asters, to hatch a generation 4 butterfly. Okay, 4 asters. So I actually have 1, so that's the end of summer. I have 5 butterflies that are north of Chicago. So that fulfills this goal here, and I get 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have at least 3 butterflies that are east of Houston. And so that is, I guess those aren't totally mutually exclusive. Anyway, too late now. And so that's another 5 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Smoke gets all of these points. So 7, 12, 13. Okay, they have 25 points to my 16 right now. All right, so now I discard all these movement cards and I go into fall. And I need to start thinking about heading south, getting Generation 4 butterflies south. Now, at the end of the game, Smoke gets points, 1 point for each of these life cycle cards. It also gets the points for every Generation 4 butterfly I don't get back to Michoacan. And so I want to be very careful to only hatch Generation 4 butterflies that I can get back to Mexico. So, let's see. Let's turn this over. That's done. We're going into fall. Let me replace my movement card. I've got this 5 movement, and I think I'm going to move this. Maybe we'll just move this Generation 4 butterfly. We're trying to keep some butterflies east of Houston, but not Generation 4. They're trying to get home. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands on a purple coneflower. Let's see, I want to try and keep out a set of 5, so I'm missing an aster out of that. I need an aster, and I need to get sets of 4 for my Generation 4 butterflies. Oops, so that was my 5 movement card. Replace my movement card. These are the same, and I think I don't want them to be the same, so they're the same again. Same again. Am I just destined to have 2 of the same? Here we go. I'm not so sure I like that, but anyway, let's move this one to get that purple aster. Actually, let's not do that. Let's move this one to get a purple aster. And that completes my set. And then this generation 3, I need either a yarrow or a coreopsis, and I need to be next to a milkweed. And I have 2 movement left. That's a yarrow, and that's a generation 3 butterfly. So I can land on the same. I can land on the same spot as other butterflies. I just can't. So the rule about collecting flowers is this butterfly can't go back to a space that it already collected a flower and collect a flower there. And it can't go back to where it started and collect a flower. But I believe this generation 3 can now go over here, and I don't actually remember where. Oh, that one started there anyway, I think, or here it started on Toronto. So anyway, this has a yarrow on it, so I'm going to collect a yarrow, and that gives me 4 yarrow. So I'm going to hatch a generation 4 butterfly, and I am going to try and get both of these down to Michoacan. Okay, so that takes care of, oh, I did this one, the 3 single movements. All right, replace that card. I've got a 5 movement. I'm going to do that. I only get 6 turns in the fall, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't want to land on a yarrow, that's 4, 5. That gets me a coreopsis, and I am next to a milkweed, and I have 4 coreopsis, so I'm going to turn those in, and what I'm going to do is turn over this single generation 4 butterfly to its double side right there. And I have to turn over the way station tile that's closest to me, so green, oh man, that's almost a whole set. Here we go. Green caterpillar. Caterpillar goes to smoke. Not me. I am not going to focus on those because there's really no good way for me to get to Atlanta. Okay, so I think I want to do a 3 and a 1, or do I want to do 2 2s? I'm going to do a 1 and a 3. So I'm going to go here for a 1 and get a purple coneflower. And can this guy get a purple coneflower easily? No, I don't think so. 1, 2, 3. Well, we'll just come here and get a purple aster then. Okay, so that takes care of that. Replace my movement card. These are the same, so let's draw a different one. That's a 4 and a 1. I think I'll do that because that's going to let me collect. Oh, I've already got 5. We better get this double butterfly down to Michoacan. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'll do that. And then get a coreopsis and a purple coneflower. I don't think these are going to do me any good. I think I'm only going to be able to get 2 butterflies down there. A little bit of a puzzle this game. Okay, so I collected 2 nectar because this is a 4 movement plus collect a nectar from an adjacent spot as well. That was my 5th turn, so now let's replace that movement card, and I only get 1 more turn. Oh man. Okay, so let's just we'll just do the 3 and get this guy home to Michoacan. So one of my butterflies doesn't make it. One of my 4 generation 4 butterflies doesn't make it, but I got 2 of them back because this is a double butterfly, so that counts for 2. Okay, so let's see. How many did I have east of Houston? I have 4 east of Houston. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a complete set of flowers, so that gets me another 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got my double butterfly down to Michoacan, and I think I say that different every time. That's 7 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see, Smoke gets all 5 of these points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it gets 3 points for the generation 4 butterfly that I did not get all the way down to Michoacan. So 3 points, 3. And Smoke gets 3 points for its 3 life cycle cards. 1, 2, 3. And I only have 1 life cycle card that gets me 1 point. And that, I believe, is the end of it. So I lose 32 to 36. And that was a solo game of Mariposas. So my thoughts on this game. This is my 6th time playing this game solo. I've not yet played it multiplayer. And the first time I played this game, I was a little bit, I don't know, I guess I thought, well, this is pretty simple, and how can this create interesting decisions to make? But it turns out that it is quite a nice little puzzle. It's a pretty relaxing game, and there's this balance between trying to collect some bonuses from the cards. So I'm just going to turn all these over so you can see them all now. So bonuses from the cards. You might try to collect life cycle cards. Some of these give you, we can turn these over now. This is where all the life, where was that other green one? I'm curious. Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't try and go for it, because where the heck was it? Oh, there it was, up in Minneapolis. I didn't even make it near Minneapolis, really. Okay, so some of these most of them give you life cycle cards. This one gives you a wildflower. This one gives you, well, this one, and should be a third. Oh, okay, Amarillo. And this one, each give you one of these bonus cards. Now, throughout the game, you can only get each of these one time. You can't go back and get another one or have another butterfly visit that and get another one. Same thing for the life cycle cards. So anyway, I like the puzzle. It's a relaxing little game. I think there would be a little bit more tension in the multiplayer game. I think the more people you have, sort of the more fun it's going to be, because you have multiple people navigating their butterflies all over the place and then trying to get back to Michoacan in the fall at the end of the season. So I like it. It's not going to be, it's not going to probably come out very often, but definitely this time, especially this time of year when the butterflies are leaving Mexico, this is kind of a fun one to bring out for that reason. And maybe in the fall, in September and October, when they're heading back down to Michoacan, then that would be a fun time to bring it out, or during the summer or whatever. It's very, I think I see this as kind of a seasonal game. I will say that they got the science correct, and they've done a pretty good job of integrating it into the mechanisms of the game. So with the generations of butterflies, where generation 1 starts down here, goes up a little ways, you can't get very far because you only have 4 movement. In summer, you get 1 more movement because you have usually 2 more generations coming about. And then in fall, you get 6 movements. That's the super generation, those generation 4 butterflies that are making it all the way back down to Mexico. They'll then overwinter in Mexico. They'll go into a state called diapause, which is a state of reproductive suspension. I'm not thinking of the right word right now, but anyway. And they will also lower their metabolism, and they all congregate in these trees that are just the branches bend down. There's so many butterflies, and so basically they're resting all winter. And then in the spring they will come out of diapause. They will start mating in Mexico in March, and they'll continue the mating as they're going up into Texas and across the southeast, and they're laying eggs as they go. They're sort of following the emergence of the milkweed going up. And by May, many of them will have made it into southern Canada. I don't. The reason May sticks in my head is that's when I'm likely to see my first monarchs in Colorado, because that's after our last frost date has passed. Our threat of our last frost has passed, usually around Mother's Day. And so they've got the science right. I love these life cycle cards. I think this would be an excellent teaching game. Because, like I said, it really does get the science right. They have to stop at these different flowers. I think that really highlights the fact that the adult butterflies, they don't actually, they're not efficient pollinators of milkweed. They'll sip nectar from milkweed, but they're not actually efficient pollinators of milkweed. But they'll take nectar from a variety of flowers. So if you're trying to attract adult monarch butterflies to your yard, you want a combination of native wildflowers and then also milkweed for them to lay their eggs on. And the way that it works is an adult monarch will usually only lay, I think it's just one or a few eggs per milkweed. And if there's already eggs laid on that milkweed, they're unlikely to lay more eggs on that milkweed. So if you want to attract a bunch of monarch butterflies, you want several different milkweed plants. And they tend to lay their eggs on the shorter ones. And according to a book that I've been reading, part of that is because the taller ones, the caterpillars are less likely to survive their first bite into a leaf because the latex sap, that milky sap that is flowing through the milkweeds, is actually under quite a bit more pressure the taller the milkweed is. And when they first bite into the milkweed to take their first meal, actually a lot of them don't survive that because of the pressure of the latex coming out of the milkweed. And so it's really quite interesting. And in fact, I forget the name of the book, but I will put a link to the Goodreads page down in the description. And so you have that. It's a really good book. It's written by a scientist who studies this coevolution of monarchs and milkweed. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game, or if you've played it, or especially if you've played it multiplayer and you'd like to let us all know how that went down in the comments. That would be great. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.